I can't really discuss the bust to crouching medium attack and a Godslicer independently, as they both come together to give a huge mid-screen buff to Goku Black's combo routing. So previously, Goku Black's combo routing in the mid-screen was fairly tough to plan around, since after you got like a 5H launcher, Goku Black's ability to perform re-jump combos was practically zero. There were some character by character cases, depending on the launcher that you got, where you could actually be able to come up with some combos, but he really lacked like a true universal mid-screen re-jump option. The traditional re-jump that you will usually see characters go for after a 5-heavy launcher was pretty much lost on Goku Black. Like, he simply just could not get this to work in any sort of context. And while there were ways for him to get particular launches, they were, again, few and far in between. And some of that has to do with how crouching medium attack would work in some of these routes. Basically, like, while this was a good advancing low normal that now is fast enough to actually be used as true high-low mix-up in some situations, it had a pretty small vertical hitbox to it. And since then, Bandai has buffed it. In addition to that, Godslicer has a couple of very important changes, so we'll have to discuss those first. The first thing to note is that all versions have faster startup now. So the light version used to be 13 frame, medium used to be 20, and EX match Light Slicer at 13 frames as well. Generally speaking, this meant that for Goku Black to get sliding knockdowns, or to sprinkle these in, he had to rely on the EX version in order to get slide knockdowns. As you can see here, even with low hit stun decay, the medium version of Godslicer never really got a combo, and even though it did give a sliding knockdown, unlike the light version, it generally meant that if Goku Black ever wanted a slide knockdown off of most of his starters, he had to burn half a bar, which just made his combo routes slightly ineffective. The last thing to also note with Godslicer, at least all versions, is that they used to have static jump arcs to them. They always just flew pretty much straight forward. So now that we've discussed all of these things together, let's look at how the next set of changes to Godslicer, as well as to one buff to crouching medium attack, has actually buffed Goku Black's combo routing. Now let's talk about all of these changes put together for Goku Black. So the first thing is to talk about how Godslicer has been sped up on all versions of the move. So the light and EX version are now frame 11. And the medium version is now the old startup of Light and EX at frame 13. This means that in combo routes where Goku Black could only combo into a Light or EX version of Godslicer in the old patch, he can now combo into the medium version. This is genuinely a very big buff for Goku Black, because instead of being forced to spend half a bar of meter to get a sliding knockdown and some of his long optimals, he can now just go for the medium version and get meterless sliding knockdown, which saves him that half of a bar to then spend on things like mixing you up after his level 3 knockdown. That's a really good change for Goku Black. Additionally, there's also another change to all versions of Godslicer, where you can actually control the trajectory of the move by holding up or down. So that's holding up, and this is holding down. And it's a little more pronounced if I use the medium version, where you can actually see him take a dive or rise up during these moves. So there's a lot more utility being added to these moves, where you can either drag the opponent closer to the ground or pick them up. These changes, combined with the buff to crouching medium attack, where it has a larger vertical hitbox to actually connect with an opponent in hit stun, gives Goku Black new re-jump combos in mid-screen. Goku Black actually has mid-screen re-jumps right now, and they're actually pretty saucy looking. I mean, from a 5H starter, you can see that we just broke 4k damage with Goku Black, and you can actually loop these combos as well. Etc., etc. All of a sudden, where Goku Black used to be a character who had some very weird concessions to make in mid-screen, he now just gets some of the best, I think, mid-screen routing in the game, And that's kind of like crazy. Like, he's always had a bit of like everything in his quarter combos. I think were really good, but his two big combo weaknesses, the reliance on spending meter to get a sliding knockdown, as well as like how awkward or weak his mid-screen round was, those have both been fixed thanks to these changes to Godslicer and to crouching medium attack. It's really cool to see, and I'm very happy for Goku Black players. In addition to all the previous changes we've talked about with Godslicers, the heavy version of Godslicer also has a change to its distance moved. So if we look at the situation from full screen like this before, Goku Black would fly about half screen, and we can see that GT Goku would fly pretty far away. In context of a combo, again, it's sort of a very similar situation here where the opponent would be left at full screen. And as an additional example, we can also track how far Godslicer used to move against an opponent on block. Goku Black would cross up above them just like this, but still be relatively close. Now let's take a look at how far Godslicer's heavy version moves. Goku Black definitely still falls back from the knockdown point of the character, but it does seem like he moves a little bit farther. At least in some of these combo examples. If we then look at the opponent after we put them on guard, he definitely flies away just a little bit farther. So ultimately, this should mean that Goku Black is either a little safer on whiff because he's farther away from the opponent, or it also means that he has a little bit more corner carry using this version of Godslicer. Now let's look at Fierce God Kick's medium version and its specific adjustment. They've changed the knockback on the non-smash hit in center screen, so let's go take a look at what it was before. As you can tell, the opponent would be pushed into the ground, but then they would pretty much instantly tech out of that situation. And because this is treated as a cinematic connection, you couldn't actually call an assist to get an extension off of this. That's as soon as the Beerst A assist would appear in my testing, actually. And as you can tell, if I try to call an assist earlier, then they would also just disappear. So there really wasn't a way to use assist to get extensions off of this move in mid-screen before. And now for a look at how Fierce God Kick's medium version behaves with a non-cinematic hit in mid-screen. As you can tell, the hit stun is dramatically improved. So much so that you can now actually get assist extensions, and where I think this has the most applicability is going to be in Goku Black's like air-to-air combo routing. He gets a hit like this. He now can again get extensions off an assist without having to invest meter. Again, another great solo change in my opinion. It's also worth mentioning that this only applies to using Fierce God Kick's medium in the mid-screen when you get the opponent to connect on the ground, as in the corner. If you use this too low to the ground and connected with the ground, well, then you got this instant tech out. But if you got a little more altitude, then you can see here that there was considerably more hit stun to work with here. That generally meant that Goku Black could get some combo extensions or at least get an active tag. And now for the look at Fierce God Kick's medium version in the corner, of course. Again, you get that extra bit of hit stun, but you're namely going to only use this to pick up like an assist extension here. The behavior once you get a hit with the corner wall is still unchanged. So pretty much any sort of existing Goku Black combo routing is unchanged off of these situations. Fierce God Kick's heavy version also has a couple of changes to pretty much every single property on hit with the move, regardless of screen positioning. So first, we got to look at the knockback adjustment on a center screen hit. As you can tell, the opponent used to be pushed pretty far away from Goku Black, and you would generally be able to actually pick this up in a combo. As you can tell, just an instant air dash whiff in jump heavy into crouching medium would pretty much get you an extension here for half a bar. Now let's take a look at the mid-screen smash hit of heavy Fierce God Kick. As you can see, the opponent actually bounces a little closer to Goku Black now, meaning instead of having to whiff an instant air dash jump heavy, you can actually just land, dash up, and then do your crouch medium kick instead. Of course, this also means that if you do the old frame kill method, you are still able to pick up combos and I think get new links. You have to get the timing correct though. Because, you know, you can whiff like there. You can link a JM, for example. And you can link into your full auto combo in case you want that style of a launcher instead. So where Goku Black players are going to be using this change in their optimal combo routing, I think, is something to be explored, but you can definitely be looking up what the optimals are for Goku Black, either on YouTube or on Twitter, and find out for yourself. Bandai has also made some adjustments to the stun time on center screen hits when you use this outside of a smash launcher, as well as to the stun time on corner hits and a change in the distance moved on corner hits. Previously, these were actually bugged with the 1.40 patch, and now we can actually see the proper behavior. So let's go ahead and look at this. So there was definitely some timing that you had to work with here. As you can tell, it was actually possible for you to use assist extensions compared to the medium version that we looked at earlier. And in addition to the stun time on corner hits, you can see that on the ground, Goku Black would again be pushed back considerably, making it rather difficult to get a solo follow-ups without sparking cancels. And if you got some altitude, you can definitely tell that, you know, with the Smash Launcher, you were able to get a side swap, which was ideal. And even though that you did regenerate your Super Dash, you weren't actually able to link it in this case off of a non-smash hit. Generally, you would see something like this be used in order to set up a tag-in to another character. And now for a look at the mid-screen non-cinematic hits for Fierce God Kick, which we saw an adjustment to the stun time. It does seem to be considerably longer, which means that it should be easier for you to link various assists off of this move to get your combo extensions. It also probably means that you're going to be able to get better sparking cancels off of this as well, in case that's something that you're interested in. And then looking at the stun time on corner hits, of course, you're going to be looking at things like this, where we can see that, again, GT Goku would pop out, but that's pretty similar to what was happening in the old patch. And for non-cinematic hits, you can see that GT Goku will actually pop out a bit more. So if I do something like this, it kind of actually just gives you an auto-timed follow-up where you don't need to press a super dash or anything like that. Additionally, I've been able to see some players get a JL to link in that particular circumstance. In the previous patch 1.40, it was bugged so that you could basically just infinitely link Fierce God Kick heavies into itself, which was a funny infinite because it cost you half a bar. It wasn't necessarily optimal, but it was something that you could have done in 1.40, but that since has been corrected in patch 1.41. So that's going to be some of the new tools that Goku Black has to play with regards to his combo routing thanks to these changes. One of Goku Black's level 1 supers, Holy Light Grenade, has its startup sped up. At round start positioning, you can see that you got into like the super animation by frame 9, and the move itself will then connect with the opponent by frame 14. It's also worth mentioning that previously Holy Light Grenade was one of the few level 1 supers that was actually frame 1 invincible. Most other level 1s work here as well because they're frame 4. But given how slow the startup on it was, I could definitely see situations where you would try to wake up with this option and the opponent could still technically be able to block it, as opposed to being hit by it. Now let's take a look at the new startup for Holy Light Grenade. Overall, it's about 2 frames faster, so instead of taking 9 frames to go into the super flash and then 14 frames to throw the ball, it's instead 7 frames to go into the cinematic, and then 5 frames later, the Holy Light Grenade projectile itself would come out. This should mean that it's going to be a little easier for you to combo into this super, and it also should mean that it's slightly more effective as a reversal option of sort, being able to possibly catch opponents and punish them in situations where previously they could have potentially been safe. The final change to talk about is the Goku Black C assist. Previously, it was a vertical tracking assist that had 40 frames startup, so a little slower compared to some similar assists. Now let's take a look at the new faster C assist startup. Frame 35, so 5 frames faster and pretty much on point with several other similar C assists. So I still think that you're either playing A or B assist with Goku Black here, but in case you're looking for a vertical tracking C assist like this, Goku Black is a competitive option for you as well. I've probably been saying this for the past couple of years when it comes to Goku Black and Balance patches, but this is simply the best version of Goku Black that's ever existed in the game. And I think that this is also the version of the game where Goku Black is not as weak as he once was. So many of his core issues when it comes to his combo routing, his reliance on meter to get sliding knockdowns or to even get some extensions, that has been completely removed, as so much of the utility that was previously gate kept behind his EX moves has now been expanded to actually apply to meterless version of his moves, both in terms of his Fierce God Kick as well as to his Godslicer. His mid-screen route, which has been like an Achilles heel for the character for the past several years, has finally been fixed, giving him some of the sauciest rejumps that you can find in Dragon Ball FighterZ. Honestly, this is a really great patch for Goku Black that kind of just targets the core issue of the character. His mix-up has been buffed steadily over the years, and I think that's been at a pretty competitive and viable point, but the mid-screen combos as well as the reliance on meter has kind of just made him awkward to play with, where you either needed to tag into a character to preserve your sliding knockdowns and meter, or you needed to burn bar that you would rather have saved to use on potential mix-ups or meter dumpings to kill the opponent, and now those issues are pretty much removed. Honestly, Goku Black kind of jumps up there for me in terms of like his viability and usage, and I always thought he was viable and good before, but now it's like I think you could genuinely consider him almost anywhere on your team. He's great as an anchor thanks to his level 3 knockdown mix-up. He's great as a point character because of how safely he's able to build meter, his neutral tools, as well as his mix-up game as well. You can kind of plug and play him anywhere that you want on a team and find success with them, and because of that, I think he's a damn good character in this patch that you should certainly check out.